Ready.
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 18th, 2019 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. Pursuant to the Mass General Law, we are recording this meeting for the minutes, and LCAT is taping the meeting. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please identify yourself and your organization. Hearing none, roll call. Jeff Bosworth is here, Craig Jernstrom, Tony Zampacini, and Francis Cornassi. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the August 28th, 2019 minutes. We do not have a quorum here to vote on that right now. So I'll entertain a motion to...
I thought we could
three of us, yeah?
vote if one of them wasn't present, we could still vote on it.
Okay, yeah, that's right, yep. I reviewed them briefly. I didn't have any real issues with them.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Tony?
I can vote. I can vote now this morning.
But
Oh,
you
I
weren't on
wasn't
for the
at that
28th,
time.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. And Tom O'Brien is now here too, for the record. Evening, Tom.
Good evening.
We're on approval of the August 28th, 2019 minutes right now.
All right.
I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item on our agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for line 1394 Eversource right-of-way. Those were the two different projects that we went out and did a couple site visits where they were actually doing some pole replacements. I was out there quite a while ago and looked at those. Anybody have any comments?
I'll abstain.
Yes. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for Eversource right-of-way.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It looks like I arrived just in time. Lori Benoit with Stantec. I'm representing Eversource on the project.
We just approved you.
Just
Thank
approved
you.
it.
I just found you.
You didn't go to the town hall, did you?
No, I parked in front though, and I walked
Oh,
all the
okay,
way around.
yeah. But yeah, a couple of us have been out there and looked at it, and everything was fine out there.
Yeah, great, yeah. I
All
did
set
site
and you're
visit.
approved, Lori.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was easy. All that easy.
Okay. The next item on the agenda was the request for certificate of compliance for 265B Benton Drive. I know Jeff and Tony were out there the other day. I went by there last week.
As did I.
Yeah. Everything looked fine out
Looks
there.
great. Yep.
Yep.
Everything was fine, right?
Yep. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for
So-
265B Benton Drive.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item under new business is a notice of intent for 305 Maple Street. Moving the basin.
Yep.
This is something we looked at with Rob when we were out there for the adjacent project
Right.
one time,
Exactly.
yes.
Yep, so it's, I guess for the record, Fleet Cravo, like associates here for the notice of intent application for buffer zone work to a isolated wetland. So this is at the corner of Dwight and Maple, the new development that's going on there. One of the buildings that's actually in Long Meadow that isn't constructed yet, but to be constructed, they want to expand the parking lot, but that expansion kind of encroaches within the 100-foot buffer to this isolated wetland here. And also because of the expansion, the basin used to, was in this grassed area just off the edge of the
Is that
pavement.
the map? Sorry, what's the street at the bottom?
This is Dwight.
That's the white?
Dwight, Maple's over here, this is the new.
Where's the
Bay State-
where's
this
the
is
town
Bay
line?
State building. Town line is this dotted line, right?
Okay,
That cuts straight across.
so you're referencing the top left corner?
This
It's-
one, this
it's-
right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like a depression, it's
Yeah, it's like a
sand,
depression, yeah. It's all sandy soils back there.
dry as a bone right now.
Yeah, exactly. The basin was in here, but because of the parking, we had to, expand the basin, but that's where the town line is. So that the basin now encroaches, across the town line. We did reach out to DPW, Tom Christensen, he had an email from Tom saying that there's not an amendment is not required for stormwater permit.
Oh.
And that's essentially it, it's work within the buffer zone down to from the previously proposed basin.
Yeah, and this one right now, I believe this was discussed when this project was talked about earlier. But essentially, this is another one that was pretty much, it's a man-made.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just a, it's
Isolated
really,
wetland,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's probably a wetland because there's an outfall there, a drainage outfall, so it probably just where water collects is in that low point.
So essentially, we were looking at being 25 feet away
Correct.
with
Yep.
the upper point from the basin, yeah?
Right, so the basin is, outside the 25-foot buffer, just sized to accommodate the flows that go to it.
Where's the, is there an outflow on the basement anywhere for the 100-year storm thing?
It's not shown here, but yes, there would be an emergency overflow that would discharge towards that wetland. I don't know why it's not shown on this plan, but essentially, it's surface flow to that forebay here. So there's no pipe, there's no catch basins or anything that's on this particular basin. It's sheet flow off of the pavement into a forebay, which then, discharges to the larger basin. And then that basin, in the case that it does overflow, would overflow towards that isolated wetland.
There's no pipe though, it just overflows
No,
through the
right,
soil because
correct.
it's sand.
Right, it's sand. So it's
Right,
designed
then-
to infiltrate, so
Right.
that there's not gonna be a pipe outlet from this basin. It's been sized to take the 100-year storm, and any overflow above that would then discharge to the wetland.
Oh, okay.
Even though that's sand over there, which,
Okay.
I think there's a water table over there, just by virtue of those wetlands.
Yeah. Yeah, so
You've got-
we did a few test bits across the back here as part of the original design. So there is, even though it's sandy, there is a water table over there, and we've maintained it 2 feet.
Yeah, because I've never seen water collect in there.
No.
And I mean, just by virtue of having the wetland, you know there's a water table.
Right,
because-
exactly.
Because it's sand, so.
Yeah, it's sandy, and I
Yeah.
remember, clearly, digging those holes, you're digging through sand, but.
Right,
it's
and all of a
water.
sudden you hit it,
Yeah, then all
yeah.
of a sudden you hit it, the water starts pouring. So that's basically it, that's what the notice of intent is for, it's for work within the buffer zone to that isolated wetland associated with the stormwater basin.
And so essentially, you're showing the proposed silt fence and limit of work line just outside the 25-foot.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, most of that's construction site now, it's only the back left corner that's wooded still.
Exactly, yeah.
Where is it wooded? Because I was just going to ask about
Yeah.
that, because it's not.
So this is the new Bay State building, that's, when you're coming down Converse Street,
Yeah.
right towards the intersection, this is the building, Converse Street's right here.
Mhm.
And so this is that new Bay State building right here. So that new entrance drive, you go straight through Converse, you're coming up this drive here. This
Mhm.
building's not, this is to be built, this is not built yet, but this is, there's a space off to the left, which is cleared, they're using it as a staging area right now. And that's where this building and parking area is going. So
It's all cleared.
Yeah, it's all cleared.
It's pretty much all clear.
Yeah, it's pretty
Not a
much
lot
all
of trees
clear.
coming down. I didn't think there were. Okay.
So there was a filing originally under an RDA
Right.
for the original work. What's happened now is, the parking expanded this way. And then, so that ate into the space we had for the basin that was there before. So obviously, shrinking that space, we had to go somewhere else with the basin, part of the basin. Yeah.
Virtually any water that, it's gonna filter right through the sand and then find its water table, so
Exactly.
any water is gonna be filtered just by virtue of the existing soil.
It's a low-lying area, it's not, there's a big parking, it's all pavement, asphalt directly on the other property line. There's a parking lot for the adjacent complex that's right there. So it's just a low point, I guess.
Crap, we didn't open the public hearing to it. I guess we need to do that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Completely forgot. Can you read the notice?
Not really, if there's anybody for the public.
Okay, East Long Meadow Conservation Commission, public hearing in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40. The East Long Meadow Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 18th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the East Long Meadow High School Conference Room, back entrance off Nord End Street, at East Long Meadow High School, 180 Maple Street, East Long Meadow, Mass, for the following. Case number NOI 2019-10, notice of intent, 305 Maple Street, assessor's parcel ID 6-9-0, filed by the applicant, Long Meadow Medical Arts Center, LLC, 70 Post Office Park, Suite 7011, Wilbraham, Mass. 01095, for a modification and expansion of the parking lot and relocation of a stormwater infiltration basin located within the buffer zone to an isolated vegetated wetland, prepared by R. Levesque Associates Incorporated, 40 School Street, Westfield, Mass. 01085. Owner, Fairview Extended Care Services Incorporated, 75 North Street, Suite 210, Pittsfield, Mass. 01201. Information relating to this application is on file for public inspection at the Office of the Planning and Community Development, Town Hall, 60 Center Square, and is available for review by the public during regular business hours, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. For the commission, Jeffrey Bosworth, clerk.
Thank you, Jim. My apologies to the public for that procedural mishap.
It's been a while since we met.
Yeah. Now that we've pretty much had a presentation, is there anybody from the public that would like to comment or ask questions regarding 305 Maple Street? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any further discussion?
I'm also,
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Pretty much it's already clear, no overflow pipe. It's designed for the 100-year storm. It's essentially a man-made wetland that's dry on a pretty fair amount of the time, but it does still qualify as a wetland. We've got a 25-foot buffer zone that goes around it. I really don't see the need for any other special conditions. They show the tilt fence on the plan. So therefore, I will entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent for 305 Maple Street as filed.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is old business, a request for a certificate of compliance for 30 Heritage Circle. That one still on?
We haven't heard anything from them since the last meeting.
So, yeah, we were waiting for them to send information in, correct?
Right.
I'll entertain a motion to continue the request for certificate of compliance for 30 Heritage Circle.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have we hadn't sent any letters, communicated with them, or?
Yeah, we've been sending emails. I think Connie spoke to them on the phone too. last
Okay.
week, so I don't know. What's going on?
If you could just send me an update on that.
Sure.
Something when you get a chance, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a continued notice of intent for 244 Shaker Road. R. Levesque Associates. You don't need to read the record again, right?
No,
Yeah.
it's continuation.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Jim Martin from Robinson Donovan, and I represent the developer, Tynat, and you already know Philippe. Rob couldn't make it, so I got the better-looking consultant.
Just a little younger, that's all.
Both of them said that.
So this project has been slowly being processed through the system, and we've been before you a couple of times. Thought we were in a good place, ready to bring it to a vote, when we received on August 28th, maybe, something like that, right before the last
Yeah.
meeting.
We've
some-
seen copies of those.
Okay,
Yes.
comments from the police department asking us
Yes.
for some changes. You may recall when we first started this, we had the two lots being able to go between each other, and we were asked by the town to consider separating them, so they redid the drawings and redid the infiltration systems to accommodate that, and now we've been asked to make them connect again. So Rob and Philippe went back to the drawing board and have come up with what we hope will be plans that will be acceptable to the Conservation Commission. We were at the planning board last night. That was continued till we get through this process and then come back and hopefully clean up a couple of things that they had questions about so that we can finally move forward. This is a project by right, so it's site design review at the planning board.
Okay.
Yep, so I'll just go over some of the changes that were made probably since the last time the board or the commission have seen the plan. You recall previously the two sites were independent of each other.
Do you need a copy for up there?
Yeah, if we could, get a copy.
I have a copy.
Well, I can give you my set and then get the,
Have they been submitted to the commission yet?
Yes. This was submitted to, to the planning, or the planning and commission office. It was given to Connie. I know that.
Because we haven't seen them yet.
Okay, sorry. So, just for reference, the two parcels, or the last time you've seen this plan, there was two individual parcels to be created independently, sort of kept. There was the drive-through bank site, and then what we'll call the retail building site without this roadway connection or connecting driveway. Since then, the police, we've received comments from the police chief, indicated that he'd like to see the two sites connected. And I know there's been some back and forth since this original submission of this project on that, whether they're going to be connected or not connected, because we had them not connected before. So under how we have it shown here addresses those comments from the police chief, specifically that this connecting drive between the two sites, it actually allows for better flow through the site. If you're in this bank building, you can access the retail and then also the exits onto Shaker Road. Because one of the limiting factors, not that this is a conservation issue, but this would be a right turn only onto Chestnut Street, so if you wanted to exit, that would be a right turn only, so now you can come across onto the Shaker Road exit with this connecting drive. I know the commission's done a site walk out there, you know what the wetlands look like. This is, along, adjacent to the frontage with Shaker Road. As part of these revisions, this kind of blew up our previous stormwater design, because our previous stormwater design had a surface bioretention area with an overflow to a subsurface system under the parking area. Obviously now with the roadway connection between them, we don't have that space for that surface bioretention area anymore. So what we did was I ran through all the numbers, all the calculations, the stormwater. These two subsurface basins, had to get larger to accommodate the additional flow to make up for that volume that we lost from that basin. That's still under review through the DPW, Mr. Christensen. So what you have before you is is essentially a draft of the site plan that we wanted to present to you to, get your feedback on what you see as how we addressed the police comments.
I apologize, I was looking at that. Is that an accurate portrayal of the wetlands as exist now, or that is the proposed wetland?
The wetland line is accurate. So
That is accurate
Yes.
portrayal?
Yep.
And then there's a drainage pipe that it reaches into?
Correct. Right, so this wetland, if you look at the catchment area for this wetland, it kind of comes up the hill and behind the homes of the subdivision that's uphill, that's up gradient of the
Yeah.
site. So I think, my theory is at some point, this wetland was probably coming across Shaker, overflowing its own topography into Shaker. So what they did at some point was install that drain line that you see on the plan to sort of get some relief from that water coming down the hill.
What did they install?
Well, we didn't.
We did.
Oh, I know
No.
that.
Yeah, somebody did, and when we.
Somebody did?
Yeah, and when we met, I think it was the town, and we met with Tom Christensen out there,
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah, it was
July or August, and that was another, I forgot that step, and then he said, could you see your way into not discharging water into that pipe which goes into our system?
That resulted in the underground.
That resulted in a change in plans even in that. Obviously, that's more expensive than the original plan we had. Now this is even more expensive.
Where are you gonna discharge the water?
So the water, the
Impervious.
way it's designed now is that it's all gonna get collected through these two, which ultimately discharge to this surface basin that has an outlet that goes to the drain system in Shaker Road. But there's enough capacity within these three features that at the 100-year storm event, it's under 1 CFS that's going into the drain system in Shaker Road.
And so
I
that,
think it's like 0.78, I know, because I was looking at it yesterday.
So there was, I'm sorry, Craig, did you wanna?
we're just gonna, so that pipe that was somewhat compromised, that's gonna be out of the equation now. That's going to be removed.
That's gonna remain as is, we're not touching that. That's,
Don't you have to take it out to pave over it, or?
no, it's underground, we're gonna work around it.
Oh, okay, I was
We're
just
not-
assuming that would come out because you're paving over it now.
Yeah, it's staying underground, we're not proposing to remove that pipe.
What's the diameter?
It's a 12-inch pipe.
It's all clay pipe?
Yes,
Yeah, it's an old
and
pipe.
you were generous in calling it somewhat compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
The end of it was pretty well crushed when we
Yeah.
looked at it.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about,
Are you gonna build, any type of berm, or like funnel that into that clay pipe that's existing? Because the water, it would leach out onto Shaker
right? Yes.
in storms.
So essentially what's happening here with the topography, with the grading of this road, is it's actually gonna better define that wetland catchment area to that pipe. So this essentially, the bottom of this slope in here, this is gonna create a low point which will sort of keep the water in the wetland and not let it go out onto Shaker anymore. Overland.
Did the planning board have any comments on that? You leaving that existing pipe?
Well, that's with the DPW, it was being proposed left before, and we were not crossing over it, given we weren't going over it or proposed any work over it.
No,
But
you're
now
right.
we're coming across it with this new access drive.
Yeah, the original plan was.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be disturbed at all.
Right,
Everything
it
would be
wouldn't,
just left
exactly.
intact.
Yeah.
So Tom signed off on the plan we had for minimizing any water that would go through that old pipe.
Yeah, if anything, you're gonna decrease the amount of water just by collecting
Yeah,
and
collecting all
diverting it.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really out of our purview anyway. I mean, it just seems kind of crazy to do a project of this magnitude and not address that
No,
pipe.
just that pipe. I mean, I'll bring it up with Tom. I'll bring it up with Tom and just mention that it's concerned. I know there's, you know, impacts to wetlands if you start disturbing the, you know, that pipe there.
Yeah.
I know.
But when it fails later.
Exactly.
You're
You're gonna have
gonna-
to address
you're
it
gonna
at some
cross that
point.
bridge.
Yeah, you're gonna cross that
Yeah.
bridge at some point, so. I'll definitely have that discussion with Tom.
Hey, we're here to make you
I
spend
hear you.
more money,
It makes sense to me to, you know, we're right here, we're working right here.
Yeah, it just.
Or if the town, I mean,
Especially with the amount of work you're going through to divert water, yeah.
I mean, he made it clear that he couldn't mandate us to do that on this project, but that he would like us to do it. And so the Davis family said, okay, we'll see what we can do in terms of accommodating that. So that was the design before this, but it accomplished the same thing, and Tom signed off on that design as well.
Yeah. My personal feeling is that that wetland was created from, you know, a previous drainage pipe failing. I mean, evidence is there. You know,
yeah, in combination with just soils, it's like the soils out here are
Yeah.
pretty not great. So that's where we are at this point in the process.
So we were hoping that, you know, if you have any questions or the public, we'd like to be able to get your blessing on this so we could go back to the planning board.
As this is a continued public hearing, I guess we'll ask, is there any comments from the public? Anybody that's here this evening? No one's here for that? Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you coming back in, and I do appreciate the length that it's taken for you to get this far with this project. Seems like it has taken quite a bit of time.
you see that?
Oh, sure.
You wanna see this?
Yeah.
That's smaller.
That's a smaller version, if you want the bigger one.
You know, actually, the wetland hasn't really changed.
No, I know, but did you like make a berm? Or did you adjust the topography so that,
Yeah, so in order to keep this slope, because what's happening is that the drive-through at a higher elevation than this retail.
oh, so you're bringing fill in?
So
you're
we gotta, you know, transition down, and when you're transitioning down, you gotta like slope down on both sides of that, and so that you have a down slope on this side and a down slope on that side. So you're, you know, we're building a berm on this side, on the Shaker Road side,
You're elevating that topography where
where the
drive-through is
Yeah.
going,
So-
so that will create the funnel effect that
Right, it'll-
I'm inquiring about, yeah.
Exactly, yep.
Craig, you want this?
I think that it'll definitely help keep it
You want this?
No.
on the property and not let it overflow. Because when I was out there, it was like a little glacier that kind of just went out onto Shaker when they froze it.
Yeah, you know, I think it you know, filtered through the dirt.
Yeah,
You know, it just overwhelmed the drainage pipe, and it just filtered through the dirt, just leached onto Shaker. You could see when you drive there, especially in the winter, because it would become like a skating rink, yeah. So, I don't know, I would think that you would want to put some sort of barrier.
yeah, so this definitely does that. This does
Yeah.
what you're talking.
Yeah, I would think that
the
you would
idea is
wanna
that
talk
no
to
water
Tom
going
about
out to the
that.
street, right?
Onto the street.
Yeah. I mean, this is designed not to have any water from this site going out onto the street.
Yeah, I don't know that will happen if you leave the existing pipe in place. Even if you build that topography up, you may get leached through. What do I know though?
So they actually,
Yeah.
it appears there, according to this revised plan,
Yep,
in a couple of spaces, we're actually moving the limit of work line and the erosion controls away from the wetland as opposed to where they were previously.
Right. in this-
However, we're connecting where the two did not connect before.
Exactly. Other than this space
The
here.
connection right there in the middle.
Right,
Right.
but over here, we're actually a little farther.
Yes, you're moving it farther away.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah,
this,
which,
where there was no roadway connection
That was
here
the
is where,
original, yeah.
is where there is now, okay, to the buffer.
yeah.
Some of the other comments that I had made about this is typically a smaller limit of work line than, especially me, am
Yeah.
in favor of.
Right.
However, we're not removing a lot of canopy that has been discussed before in the past here, and that this isn't in my humble opinion, an elimination of a tremendous amount of wildlife habitat, and essentially what we have here is a forest of invasive species that are being cleared out.
Yeah,
Yes, that's,
If you go out there, it's
we've
all
discussed that
sweet.
before at
Right.
this board.
It was actually choking out some of the trees that were already there, so
Yeah.
those
Right.
trees weren't long for,
You know, and one of the things that we also discussed here too was the removal, while you're going at it, of some of the additional invasive species, and Rob really didn't have an issue with doing some of that as a part of the construction project here, even if we're a little bit outside proposed limit of work, but
yeah. That's right.
based on that being said, any other, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I will entertain a motion to accept the revised plan for the notice of intent for 244 Shaker Road.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Well,
Hope
thank
you
you.
get to start soon.
Yeah.
We do- Thank you for your patience as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim, do you want your plan?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening.
You
You too, Jim. All righty. Next on our agenda is Hidden Ponds Estates, discussion with Al Joyce. We have other pictures other than that one?
So that's Oak Brook, and then you should
Chair's lower than I thought. Thought I was gonna fall down.
That's the
Oh,
demeaning chair.
oh, all right.
It shrinks too if you sit there longer.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Evening, Al.
That's Eversource.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
oh, it's attached to the email.
Oh. What did I do with that?
The first item that I wanted to bring up, I did spend a little bit of time reviewing after our last meeting, the orders of conditions,
Okay.
where you were requesting the changes, and some of those, I'm not sure how they got added in there, but I really didn't have any issues with it. The only thing that just still concerns me is I think we just wanted to, I would like to see something in there to just saying they need to go to the town, just to be sure they're aware they need to go to the town prior to putting in a fence.
Oh.
And they still kind of
We-
need to get a
well,
permit for
that's-
that, according to the town
just like-
bylaws, I believe.
Well, that's almost redundant, though. I mean, you can do it if you want, but that, just like the plans show a building, show a
Right.
house. Well, you haven't given me permission to build a house. I still
Right,
need,
yeah.
I need to go to the building department and file a permit. So, and then the house, just like if with a fence, you have to go to the building department and file a permit.
Yep.
And, but if you, but I don't mind if you want to add something that you have to get a permit from the building department. That might be nice, because I do know it's not uncommon for people to install fences, for people to install oversized sheds
Oh, yeah.
without bothering to visit the building inspector.
Yep.
People do all kinds of stuff.
Um,
Not me, though, I'm a good guy.
So, yeah, what we'll do is, we're a little bit behind on it, but I did not get as far as working on drafting
Okay.
an amended orders of conditions.
Okay.
But we will have that for an upcoming meeting.
Okay.
Relatively quickly. Next item on the agenda, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up?
There is something I would like to discuss, and I'd like to discuss tree removal. That's, we actually, there was, at the hearing, and I just want to clarify it for myself and for Craig, because we had a bit of an issue with it, not, well, whatever. But on the hearing on May 22nd, we discussed the removal of a very large pine tree that I think everyone on the commission had seen. Or I'm not positive, I know some of the people on the commission had seen there was a large pine tree that fell down. And we were given permission to remove that pine tree. And then we were just, and then we did. And then after that, I sent Craig a picture of a tree that I was told by Rocky Mountain Wood Company was dangerous. And that it was at such an angle that it was ready to fall over. So it didn't bother me, but I sent it to Craig saying, can we cut the tree down? And Craig said, no. And I said, fine, because I didn't want to cut it down, it costs money, but then if someone does get hurt, I can say, well, I wanted to cut it down, but I couldn't because of the Conservation Commission. And then, oddly enough, on the next windstorm, the tree fell down. And I've actually got a picture, if anyone wants to see it, of the stump, showing that the tree actually just shattered and fell down. And then we removed the tree. And Craig was saying, well, you shouldn't remove trees because it gives a place for wildlife and animals to establish. But I want to have permission to remove large trees like that, because the research I've done on it says leaving a large tree in the water. This is a tree that was large enough where when it fell over, it went from one side of the pond all the way to the other side of the pond. And what I've determined is that high organic in the waters is bad for the water. It leads to algae blooms. In fact, right now at the Quabbin, they're dealing with algae blooms from high organics. And I know in my own backyard swimming pool, I had high organics, and it skunked the water. Just too many, I was on vacation, there was too many leaves and pollen fell into the pool and it skunked the water. I had to treat it for high phosphates. So the one thing I don't want is to have a fish kill in the pond, and I just want to know if it's okay to remove. There's all kinds of little trees and growth for critters, but it's okay to remove large trees. And that's the question I've got for the commission.
I have a question. Can I ask it?
Please?
Yes.
Are you talking about this one tree that fell and crossed the pond, or are you talking about trees in general?
Well, this was, originally there was one large tree that we all saw. I was given permission to take that out.
Okay.
And then there was, subsequent to that, there was another very large pine that fell over. I think trees are, I've never seen a place where trees fall over so much. I think it's because of the rock ground that's filled. It's not normal fill. And this is a tree that was probably 80 feet tall.
They seem to be not very large trunked, but very tall. That's part of the problem.
And another problem is I'm told well, I've read that pine trees are susceptible to the falling down. And I don't know, I'm not a tree expert.
So are you asking permission to remove trees?
Oh, no, I'm not asking permission to do anything in the buffer zone. I'm just saying, if trees do fall down, I know for years and years, the previous owner.
After they've fallen?
Yes, after they've fallen, and not the small ones, I'm talking about the giant pines.
Yeah, that's the clarification
Yes,
I need.
and, because I know Keith would regularly, the prior owner, would regularly go around cleaning out the pond, and that's why it was in good condition, that's why the water's clean.
Okay, that's
I want
clear.
to keep the water clean.
Thank you.
Me personally, if a tree falls over and falls in the pond and you produce evidence via photographs, I don't have an issue with you cleaning it up.
Okay.
I feel the same way. I think we'd like to see it.
Because I envision people going out and going on floats, or maybe going out on a little rowboat or having an ice skating there. I don't want it to be littered with fallen trees and turn it into like a swamp type deal.
You know the date the tree fell over?
It was within a week after I first texted you the picture of the tree. I've got
Yes, you texted me the picture of the tree on Friday, August 16th.
It was like if we looked at the weather, there was a storm that came in after that. It was very shortly. It was kind of freaky. It was very shortly after that I went back to look at it, and I couldn't find the tree because.
Just speaking from experience on these things, all right, when you have a development like this, and it's just a byproduct of it, you create an opening. So the wind now, these excessive storms come, the wind gets in and pushes on these trees, and it'll expose trees that weren't necessarily exposed to push previously, because trees, when they're in a forest, they all protect one another. If you were to remove a section of that forest, the wind will get in and push, and it will cull trees that maybe are not rooted correctly, that wouldn't have been exposed before. So I think that that's what's happened. You got a byproduct of, you're legally clearing your land to develop it. So now the wind is getting in, we've had some severe microbursts, and it's pushing excessively on these trees that were never before exposed. And it's gonna, it'll happen for a short period, and then everything, nature will settle itself out.
Because this is, I think it also had a bad spot. I don't know, I don't know too much about, but this is a picture of the stump. You can see it wasn't cut. You can see that the tree just, you can see it just shattered.
Yeah, it was lightning struck previously, so the majority of those hollow. You can see by the discoloration entirely. So a lot of those trees are probably.
Okay, maybe
lightning
that's
struck.
why the mountain rock
This is the stump after it was cut.
Yeah, you can see that the middle's punky.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, I know, I don't have any experience with this, you're right.
Well, I've been there and seen it, it doesn't appear to be.
By the coloration. Coloration tells me that it was punky. You might not see it, but the thing, by the color of that, it's punky.
Yeah, so we just showed this.
And out of that, there's no way in hell, forgive my language, that a tree of that magnitude is gonna shear at a stalk like that. It is just not gonna happen, because the force you need is just tremendous. To snap a tree of that magnitude, the only way that's gonna happen is if the middle's rotten.
Right.
And it may not appear because it's not showing holes, but that middle is soft. I can see by looking at it from the coloration of the wood.
It's pithy.
Yeah, it's punky, it's rotten. It's still whole, but it's soft, and it's not structurally sound. The only soundness of that tree is around the outside.
And this is in lot 14, correct, Al?
I'd have to.
That's what it looked like before.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the picture I sent to Craig, asking permission to cut it down. I would guess it's around lot 14. I'm not,
Let me see.
if I went out and looked at it, I could figure it out.
So, and I guess, well, one of the things that I have an issue with is, the answer was no, but then your claim is that the tree fell down and it was still just removed, conservation didn't get a call, nobody got any chance to look at it or anything, it was just done.
Well, you can see that it fell over.
It broke right off.
And then it broke, you can see it broke off. We didn't cut it. And then I was given permission to remove a previous big pine, so I figured, there's another giant pine. If you want me, Joe, I can come in. If there's other big
Yes, yeah, I mean,
pines.
things like that, when you're instructed, no.
But I didn't, I
Yeah,
was
you
told
need-
not to cut it down. I didn't want to cut it down.
Yeah,
I wasn't
because
intending to cut it down.
Because I have an issue with that, and then it's up a little bit farther on, I'm gonna say, it's probably in lot 13, and it's hard to make out in these pictures here, but we will get copies of them sent to you. There's another one that's 10 to 12 feet away from the water that's been cut down.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I don't know why anyone would do that.
Where's lot 13?
Next one up. And it's kind of hard to see it, but it would be in your handouts. This picture right here, the third one up. And you can see it between the two trees. There's a tree that's cut down, and you can actually see the erosion controls.
So you're saying 13 right on the water? Because there was a tree.
This is where the one that came down, where we had the
Right there.
pictures of. The other one is right here, I believe. They're both right in this stretch. One's like here, and the other one's like here.
So it's between
It'd be that
those two
picture right there, and
trees.
it's hard to see it. If we can get other copies of it blown up, it's between these other three
Yeah,
trees
I
here.
see it.
And you can see there's a 2-foot stump in there. And that tree was also removed.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I don't know why anyone would cut a tree down there.
I guess we need to, I mean, and that's what I got issued now, is okay, now we got 2 of them.
No,
But
well-
you're saying you don't know about it, but it happened on your property and it occurred. So
Well,
I
I'd have to
guess-
go out and take a look at it. That's the first time hearing of this.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed it a while ago when I was out there, probably at the same time. I'm not even sure if it was the same time or if it was after that. When it might have been on one of the more recent ones when I just went out there in the rain. And I took a walk between the ponds to go around and I saw that and I was just, how did that tree come down?
I have no idea.
So I guess I have some concerns with that, Alan. You know, and I know you're saying, well, you had permission before, but you didn't have permission to remove this tree out of the water, but it came out. And then there's one other tree. So I guess if we want to schedule another site visit out there, because, you know, I have some concerns about this, and
Yeah.
I'm really considering issuing an enforcement order on it, because we just can't be cutting down trees without notification and against the direction of the commission.
Because the buffer zone is the buffer zone. And the limit of work line is the limit of work line.
Any other comments from the commission?
Yeah, Al incorrectly cleaned that up. Not cut it down, but cleaned it up. And he should have sought permission. So I'm sure moving forward, if trees come down, he would.
I won't remove any trees without coming before the commission. I have no problem with that.
How does the commission wish to proceed with this current issue with the tree removals?
Well, could we have a chance to look at it? This is the first I've heard of this. I'd like to see what tree
You
you're
talking
talking.
about the tree that you're saying is in the back of that picture?
Mm-hmm.
This one.
Yeah, I'd have to see it. I mean, I have no relevance, that picture.
hard to really see it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the stalk. It's hard to get my bearings for where that picture was taken from, or.
So would the commission like to do a site visit before we proceed further on this matter?
I think that would clarify a lot of things. I mean,
Okay.
as far as seeing what trees came down, what was cleaned up,
What works for everybody?
I'm generally pretty,
Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, I'm pretty flexible. Tomorrow afternoon,
Anytime.
my golf league is over, so I'm available on Thursday.
Jeff and I can go out anytime.
How about Thursday around 5:30, when it's still light?
Sounds good to me. Tomorrow.
yeah, I can make that work.
Yep.
Tomorrow?
Yep.
Tomorrow works for me. 5:30 tomorrow. Moving on. The next item is in regards to the letter received from Mrs. Woodward on Harwich. We have some other pictures here, and I guess we will get a lot of these forwarded to you, Alan. I think it was just circumstances a little bit also, but I've been out there a couple times and looked at this. I know one of the things that you suggested, it was possibly coming from somewhere else, like up Harwich Street or something like that, but there is no construction or anything like that going on that would result in this clay river being behind the last 3 houses on Harwich. I've taken a bunch of pictures and forwarded them, and we will have them forwarded to you also. But it's pretty much plain, and you can see it, all the red clay that's in the road. And it was even after the last time we went out there after our meeting to take a look at it, it was just drizzling a few days later. And it is dramatic how much the clay shows up in the road. When
On Redstone?
Yeah.
You know, I think that we can address this when we go out there, because I was trying to follow your email, and without relevance to like a site plan, it was kind of hard, it was hard for me to follow. And I'm sure if we were to go out there, you could explain to us what you saw.
Essentially, and it was a timing issue.
Because I went out during one of the last heavy rainstorms, and I looked at the stream, and it was clean. The stream that you get behind the houses during the
Correct.
heavy rain, and it was clean water.
Correct. Yes, I agree with you.
So there
However,
there was an isolated instance where something came from somewhere.
Right, well, and I'm just gonna move forward. Essentially here, there's a culvert crossing.
Yeah,
It's somewhere right around here, and then it runs along the outside of where the silt fence is.
Yep.
And eventually discharges into the 3rd house up on
so
Harwich.
this is the limit of clearance, here. And the silt fence is behind it.
Essentially, the water comes in like right here. And it starts over here on the neighbor's property. But what happened, in my opinion, what happened here is a number of things. Number one, the DPW went in and opened up that culvert that was there.
Yes.
I never got a direct answer from Tom as to how blocked the culvert was.
Oh, it was blocked enough where it flooded the neighbor's home on the other side.
I understand, yes,
Yeah.
and I was kind of looking for a percentage from him.
Right.
The other thing that happened shortly after that was Al was putting the pipe in.
Where? Oh,
In Redstone.
That runs down Redstone Drive.
I didn't put pipe?
The water.
Oh, yeah, oh, the water main in the
water,
street,
sewer.
yes, we put a water main
Correct.
all the way down Redstone, yes.
And I'm assuming while that was being done, the redstone wasn't being deposited in people's lawns, and there was a pretty good amount of it just in the street. Even though I know you had street sweepers out and that sort of thing, but we saw the large boulders that came out, and then the large sections of redstone that came out and were moved, just from putting in this 4-foot wide trench there. And so we have this 4-foot wide opening in the road that was being covered up and that sort of thing, but with all that was going on there, there was a tremendous amount of red clay that's in the road. And that's where, if you look at some of these pictures, when you can see when it's raining out, it's red. The road is just covered with red. And I had a couple of these pictures. You can see this one right here, where it is showing red coming right off the same side that the culvert discharges into. And on the other side, you don't see as much of it, but there is also some red that goes down and falls off of Redstone into the entrance of the culvert on the opposite side of the street from your development.
Well, we sweep it anytime it needs it, but there's always some dust. It doesn't take much to make water.
I can appreciate that.
Discolor.
I can appreciate that, but what I'm trying to avoid here, and it's kind of our responsibility, even though these areas are technically out of the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission because they're outside the 100-foot buffer zone. However, it's our responsibility to work with the DPW and the planning board and come up with a response to the residents there. And so we have to come up with something, and there's still a number of things going on there that, that I informed Tom O'Brien of also is we need some tracking pads that are much better. The last time I was there, when we just had a little bit of rain, and then you can see it in one of the pictures, they're driving out the main entrance, and they got one set of tires on the Redstone and one set of tires on the stones over there. And so you can just see it, and we'll get you these pictures. And then also, there's another area that's down farther where you've gone through the fence, and there's no tracking pad there. And when I was there, and we did not get, it did rain hard, but it only rained 15 minutes, and that was
Yeah.
last Saturday or Sunday, I think it was.
I'm not sure where you're talking. When we go out tomorrow, you can show me what you're,
It sounds like the construction company needed to do a better job, but all that being said, given the soil and the
I'm
construction,
sorry, I didn't get these forwarded to you.
it's virtually
Right here,
impossible.
down here,
to
you
clean
went
all
through
of it
the
up.
fence, you put another opening
You
in?
have these.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
oh,
the
right,
site
okay, now I see, but
pretty
that's the
backwards
old
and
house.
forwards,
Yeah, you're
Okay.
50, 75
All right,
feet
I'll
down
tell
from the
him,
original opening.
I'll tell him he can't, I'll tell him to fence that off or to put it,
Or-
or put a tracking pad.
Put tracking pads in there.
And I can say that we're about 2 weeks away from bringing gravel in and paving the road.
That's what I was gonna,
And-
that's where I was going
and
next,
I
I was
keep-
gonna ask you that.
And we're very close to when they're gonna, in fact, I was just asking Scott today, Scott Bradway,
Mhm.
when he's gonna pave it. I'll let him know. And he told me he's finally got all the approvals from the town. Because actually, the town was dragging their feet on getting the water test. We can't pave it until we get the water test back.
Yeah.
Now that's been done, so now he's gonna get the road
And-
paved. And then I think once the gravel goes down, shortly after that, it's paved, and then there won't be any issues.
Yes, and
And-
then we get the street
Yes,
cleaned
we're-
up then, and just minimize the tracking into the
Yes.
street, which just needs to be
And I'll,
done. And don't take me
No,
the wrong way on this, Al.
Because, you know, what's frustrating is, I'm trying to do a good job out there, and I thought I was, but that side entrance, I don't know when you went there, I only saw that today. I don't know when it was done, but that's.
I believe I was
didn't-
there this weekend.
I didn't want them to, they did that, I wish they hadn't have done that. I don't know why
Yeah.
I like having a fence there.
Well, the last time we were out there, before that, the first time we went out to look at the, where the Red River was running, there was a big section of that fence gone then. It's just they weren't driving through it, but now they're driving through it.
Well, I'll let him know that he can't drive through that without putting down a tracking pad, and so it's either one or the other. And I'll put up that orange construction fencing so they can't drive through it.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll see that tomorrow.
And that's just where I was going with this. 'Cause I don't see it happening yet, in my humble opinion, and I just think, like I said, it was the timing of it, because we got a massive amount of rain.
Yes.
And it was just after the hole in the street was open.
Okay.
I mean, and yes, you see the red water going in right there, but, and it didn't rain that long, but it still never came out into the third house. It all just dissipated down in the ground. And I'm just a little bit concerned that might happen, but not really, because there's not that much out there, but we really just do need to monitor it.
All right.
Because we still don't want that just running off the street all the time, but like I said, I do think it was just kind of the perfect storm of
all
the
right.
instances happening there that caused the Red River and, you know, and like I said, the culvert being open too.
Yes.
Sorry, I have one more question. Where, is the water coming only when it rains, or is it coming somewhere from the property into the proposed
Only when it
road?
rains.
Only when it rains, okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah, where the culvert crosses the street, there is not normally water flowing through there. I don't believe there is.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's dry.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why. 'cause
in the
if
spring when
it's
snow melts and
paved-
that sort of thing, I'm sure it's running through there.
So if it's paved, it should dissipate, there should not be all this.
Yes, if it's paved, and we work on minimizing the tracking into the street that's happening.
Okay, thank you.
Ponds, tracking pads. Cost, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get you the revised or amended orders of conditions. We're gonna meet out there tomorrow to look at the trees. And I'll continue to touch base with Tom Christensen on this, just because we should be together
Okay,
in agreements in the letter, because we do need to respond to the abutter with the complaint.
okay. Good enough.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Okay.
See you
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, project monitoring, was 101 Old Farm Road. believe it was, yeah, Jeff and Tony went out there before one of our initial trips out. And then I went out there a week or so after that. And you can see where there is an erosion issue at the end of the driveway there.
Yeah, yeah. And it runs all the way down through and runs into the, beyond the limit of work line.
Into the backyard.
Yeah, it runs down into the restoration area. And it's a pretty deep trench. It was about 5 or 6 inches deep running down there. It was about 6 or 7 inches
Yeah,
wide.
because all the
Because it's,
ground cover is torn up.
yeah, there's nothing, it's just, and it's all running off the driveway and basically just forms a small river going right down through.
Where's it going, into his backyard or into the area down there on the left?
It's
It
going
doesn't go
into,
It's
anywhere,
going
right?
like-
It just,
it goes down to
Goes
the
into
right.
the right.
It's
To the right?
It's like flowing towards the stream down to the right.
does it make it there?
It doesn't, but you got a lot of the red dirt is going into what is, you know, the restoration area beyond the limited work line.
He needs to put down some seed that
Well,
firmed up.
Wasn't there erosion controls that were supposed to be, yeah, going all the way across this? It goes all the way out to the street,
yeah, but
Yeah, but
this
it's occurring
isn't-
within the erosion controls.
this, where's the?
It's going down the driveway and coming around.
Where's the oh, here's the driveway. Okay, yeah, it's running down here, it's running down across over into this area. So you got a
All
lot of.
within.
You got a lot of the red dirt is running down into this area.
What you could do is put some wattles
That would
down
probably
that
be.
erosion line and then put,
Did,
put some dirt down and seed it as quickly as
did
possible.
a copy of that site visit get sent to Ryan?
Yes.
It did, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, Jeff did fill out the form, sent it in, and so it did go to Ryan at Arlevesque.
Yes.
Any response from him, or?
I sent it to the homeowner as well. They were asking to see.
There was recommendations in that they put some type of erosion control at the end of the asphalt driveway.
And
Is that in the plan? It's not in the plan, is it?
No, because this is something that occurred because
Right, the site being torn up.
the site being,
Yeah.
all that, everything being gone, there's no vegetation to stop it.
yeah, the erosion controls are over here. yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, there's the
working.
driveway, yeah.
Excuse me.
And I did ask the planning board, or not the planning board, the building department, because originally he was just redoing this deck here, but now he's put a whole deck here with steps, I guess, that are gonna come down to this. He does have a building permit for it, but we were never notified that, with the original plan, that he was gonna do that. Doesn't,
So make him come back and
So we expanded the deck.
revise his plan.
There's two separate decks, right?
yeah,
There's one right behind the garage, which is set further back than the other one.
yeah.
That's behind the house that we said he
Yeah,
could
because-
replace.
His original plan, when he came in, was he was just gonna replace the old deck.
But they added this new one, which is set back, it's behind the garage.
Yes.
All right. House, driveway, all right. Vegetation is this dotted line.
Do we wanna go up there again?
So what's happening? The water's flowing down
Do
here.
we wanna make an
creating
appointment and
erosion.
go out there again
And then-
and look at that?
The-
That's
Well,
what
I
I'm
checked with the
This
building
is,
department, and he did get a building permit to
It's wet.
add that deck, but that wasn't in the original
No.
restoration plan.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's not shown here
No, because he
in
said he
their
was just,
restoration plan.
he was gonna just redo the old deck.
Right.
Correct.
And then now he's
This is
added
the
this
wetland
30
area.
by 28 deck additionally.
So part of
Right.
it, part of his property's on the buffer zone.
Oh, yeah, most of his property. almost,
So I guess we need to get in touch with Ryan and the homeowner
see,
again
this is 100, so this whole.
and say the erosion
property, so
controls
front
need to
yard's
come in,
within the
and
buffer.
we've noticed something about the deck.
So,
Mhm.
water's flowing down.
And then invite them to come back to a meeting or even do a site visit. And I don't think it would hurt to do a site visit sooner than later.
This is just one house or there's a development?
This is a whole, this is the road. This is another house.
Okay.
Another
So
house.
it's a development.
Yeah.
I will, I'll send you an email on that tomorrow,
Yeah, on the
Betsy.
80s.
Okay?
Oh, yeah,
Before
yeah.
this was
Yeah,
built.
yeah, yeah. This was all approved back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So all he did was he went in and cut right up to the brook, virtually right up to the brook.
That's all he did.
All right, illegally.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, who approved that?
I didn't, in that respect.
Yep.
It is all he did, though.
11
That's a
Oak
lot
Brook Drive,
in an
that,
area like that.
yeah, so I'm gonna get in touch. Bethany, through Bethany, we'll get in touch with Levesque and the homeowner and ask them to come to a meeting and get a site visit scheduled to go out there also.
Sounds good. Is that picture relative?
Yes.
Is that some?
This is-
Next one on the agenda.
That's the
Oh,
next.
all right, I was gonna say, I don't think that that's that site.
No.
All right, okay, all right.
This is that one Bethany sent an email about, Lori something, I forget her name,
Is that an
on
extra copy?
Elm Street.
It's yours now.
Thank you. Do you want this pen?
Craig,
Yeah, I have
oh, he wants
no, I
that.
got
You
the
know
full,
he
no,
wants
I
that.
have a full-size copy of it. I'm good, you can have it.
Magical. Musical plan night,
Sorry.
just found its home.
And she called about this dirt being dumped. Hard to tell, I guess we gotta look at it on the GIS thing. Bethany came
Where
up
is
with
this?
these plans. Elm and Oak Grove,
Oak Brook Drive, it's
Oak
off
Brook, yeah.
Elm Street, it's just before the city line,
Oh, here it is, Oak Brook.
Oh, yeah, I
and
know where it is.
this, the way the property line looks, it looks like the lady that called in the complaint lives on Elm Street, and her property runs back along
Correct.
the backside of this.
towards, just a little bit towards Springfield, for there,
Yeah.
towards the right.
And then she's saying that this is wetland, and the neighbor, I guess, I don't know if he added this retaining wall or what, but she said he was dumping dirt into the wetland, which is this.
Well, it's the
But-
vegetative.
but it's-
border
it's-
vegetative.
It's hard to, you'd have to see where the property line is, because to me, this looks like he's dumping it on his own property, even though it's, but it means, I mean, it looks like it's mowed grass, so.
How many houses down is it?
It's
on Oak
only
Brook?
2 houses in.
On the right or the left?
On the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that one.
Mhm.
You got an in-ground pool up there?
I
Or
don't,
above ground, round pool?
I don't know, but I think, didn't she say did he add the retaining wall?
Yes.
Okay, so he put in the retaining wall, and then he was dumping this dirt over into this area, which she calls the wetland area, or
Yeah, well, the
next to the
Shelock Brook
wetland.
is back there.
Yeah,
That's fine, okay.
I can't tell if there's a pool there or not. It's
Yeah,
hard to
and I
see.
asked Bethany to check and see if he did pull a permit for this, and
Well, that
Bethany.
looks like a pool to me.
There's-
Yeah.
there's-
Oh,
I
yeah.
told her though, maybe, is it, you know, what the date on it is?
Is that a built-in or above
Oh, yeah.
ground?
It looks like an above ground.
I could, Google Earth will bring up recent.
Say where the brook is, can you locate that?
Well, yeah.
Just
It's-
zoom in on
it's-
But it's relatively flat, and I know this kind of looks like an undeveloped, could be a wetland,
Yeah,
but it might not be. It was fairly dry when I was back there. But I asked Bethany if a permit was pulled, but one was not, because I guess it wasn't required because it's under 4 feet high.
Right, a permit, the building permit department only issues a permit if the wall is above 4 feet. So it's not clear from that picture, but,
That's-
Maureen in the
that's
building
over
department,
4.
see it.
It's pretty darn close,
Yeah.
in the farthest away part.
Yeah, it's slightly over 4 though.
those look like the same type of blocks that
I
he
was gonna say, are you assuming those are 2-foot blocks?
I just can tell from, yeah, so that's 4 right there.
Because then,
So it's 5 to 6.
the only reason I would think that it might not be, because I wouldn't assume that that fence is not 4 feet high, but it could be.
Yeah,
Could be 3.
that's a 4-foot fence. They don't, well, I doubt those blocks are 18, just looking at the lay of the land, I mean,
I mean, at this end, it could be only 4 feet high, but certainly
Looks like a
At
tape
the
goes
far
down.
end.
the far end, it's gotta be
Yeah,
higher.
the far end is higher, because it comes up.
So,
So I see
did the building department say they were contacted by these people at all, or no?
No, they didn't have a record of any wall
that's a 4.
being built there. So Maureen,
Six
she was just looking at that picture, and she couldn't really tell if that was more or less than 4 feet, but their records don't show permit for a wall there.
I would almost recommend they go out and take a look.
All right,
I don't know, he's filling it clearly. Looks like, almost like
Could you
there's a
get,
drainage pipe in the middle of it.
do you have
Wasn't
the
it?
contact information for this
No, There's a
resident?
drainage pipe right there.
Not for 11 Oakbrook Drive.
Well, it's got drainage, because he built that wall, you gotta drain the water.
Could you get that and then forward it to me?
So it's Gabriel and Wanda Sanchez. Now, we don't keep phone numbers, so
Does anybody know why he's dumping this dirt there?
Nope.
No.
Tom just saw a drainage pipe between the 2 piles of dirt. I wonder if he's got water there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, when they built that retaining wall, they put in drains. So it looks like there's a
Pipe.
discharge right there.
Right.
Well, yeah, if you look
Stone.
at, there's a drain easement right here.
And is that where the dirt is?
Right there.
Can we go up there?
Yeah, but where's the
Look at
wall
it?
relative to this?
Can we go, can we get,
Assuming
can we
it's somewhere here
gain
in the
access and
backyard.
go on the property and?
Yeah, so I
look
think
at
when
it?
they built that wall, looks like they probably filled,
We could,
and then they had to
Probably go
build
in
drainage
from-
easements into that property they raised.
How can we gain access through here?
you can go to the neighbor who made the complaint and see.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
because
was gonna say-
her yard goes right behind there.
Oh,
All right, so then,
So we have to
the
go
one
to
who
Elm-
made the complaint, she lives on
Elm
Elm
Street.
Street, and this is.
Yeah. I happened to be right there, and I texted her. I think Bethany forwarded
Okay.
me the number.
Alright.
She wasn't home. She's a hairdresser, so she works a little bit different schedule, but she said, yeah, go ahead. Park in the driveway and walk right in the
Oh, so
backyard.
The first one in. Yeah, this is the property.
Think it's this one, Mercado?
It's the first one, it's this one, that's the wall right there.
is that number 11?
So, yeah, that's the property. It's not the second one in, it's the
Oh,
first
okay.
one in. So we built that wall, he probably brought in fill, guaranteed he brought in fill.
Mhm.
Brought in fill, built a wall, between 4 and 6 feet. And then now he's, I don't know how he got those, he must have brought them in by maybe a dump truck or, looks like a bobcat.
There was a bobcat there.
Yeah, there had to been.
In
because
the
that's the only way
driveway
that
when I
got
was
there.
there.
So the
Yeah.
brook is over here.
So no, the brook,
Where's the water?
yeah, yes, you're right, the brook is here.
How far would you say the brook is away from the house, or the property?
Well, it's hard to tell from this photo because it's taken during,
Okay.
there's, usually if they're taken fall or winter, you can see exactly where they are. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to get an aerial photo of this and see exactly where it is, but I would say it's clearly within 200 feet, probably within 100.
Do you guys want to try and take a look at this quickly tomorrow, after we get done at Hidden Ponds?
Or you wanna go before?
Who was the person who,
I can't make
I can't make
was
it.
it on Elm Street, Connie?
coming
Yes.
from
Or was it
Greenfield.
it was the woman on Elm Street?
The woman
Yes.
on Elm Street, because her property runs right back behind the.
Yeah.
Lori something.
Oh, Lori. You know Lori.
Used to work at Cabela's, but now she doesn't.
Lori Forbes.
Oh, that's who it is?
That's who it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
You're doing work in the registry.
But I can text her, I'm sure we can get permission to park at her
I would
house.
say, yeah.
So you want to try and do that quickly after? Doesn't take long, it's
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're like 2 seconds down the street from Hidden Pond, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll go take a look at that one tomorrow
okay.
also.
What's the street address of Hidden Ponds? So I can get.
Graziano
Go to the left of Graziano
Oh,
Gardens.
behind there, okay.
First
Just go up,
street on the
just go
corner.
up
Just go
Maynard
to the
Street
end.
and just go,
Maynard,
just keep
just
going
keep
all the
going
way.
straight.
Yep, can't miss it.
Just follow
Look for
the
the
red
red
clay.
clay. That's right, yeah, follow the red clay from the center. 5:30, yeah.
Anybody else have anything on project monitoring?
Bethany, 36 Brook Street, they did call you, correct? Remember when I stopped there that day, they were taking down a
Yeah.
tree on the brook, on the river?
Yeah.
It's, what they do, what they dispose of, his branches and all that, he was piling them up on the riverbank. And I'd asked him, eventually I'd like to use, clean it up, and he said he wouldn't, it's still there. And there's other people doing the same thing. The one I said before lived on the corner,
Mhm.
I noticed his backyard, which abuts this person's yard. I mean, it's just a lot of,
Where's Brook Street, that little dead-end street?
no, Brook Street runs from Elm out to North Main Street.
Oh, all right, I know, yeah, I know exactly.
And that's where the
Brook Street is.
Pecosic is,
There's a,
widest.
yeah, the Pecosic goes through there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you spoke to this person.
Yep.
What is the first house
How
on the
did that
left?
occur? Just, because they called in or
Yeah,
something?
the tree was dead, you could see where it had fallen, he was cutting it up, and I said,
Oh, okay,
in the future, we'd like to, have you come down, just let us know what you're planning on doing, especially on the river, on the brook. And he said, all right, no problem, and I just noticed all the brush was piled up right up on the brook side, his side.
Okay.
And I just asked him, if you get that cleaned up and get it off the bank.
So, I guess in that, something like this, it doesn't seem like it's a major erosion control issue
I don't
or
know,
anything
I
like
mean,
that.
I
but-
didn't wanna,
But
you
it
can't
still
really
shouldn't be
see.
there, but if we, Bethany, you could draft him an enforcement type letter saying you need to clean that up.
Or
Come
we
right
can
from
go
there.
by there again before, why don't you hold back and I'll go back tomorrow. I know it hasn't been cleaned up, but there's
I
a
think
lot of
it's-
vegetation.
Yeah,
It's
Because the culvert
31
runs under Elm Street.
yeah.
And of course, the house on the opposite side, I mean, everything's overgrown in that yard, so you can't even see the brook at that area.
Yeah.
What did you
It's
say,
all
Bethany?
open.
It's 31 Brook Street.
31, okay.
The other one I had that I forgot about was the one with a call about assistance from the town for the tree falling over.
Oh, yeah, Pilgrim,
Yeah.
48 Pilgrim.
If you want to check with Attorney Maynard on it, because to the best of my knowledge, and maybe Tom knows, being a tree guy, that person owns it. Because I was involved in a situation with a neighbor here had a tree that fell into the other neighbor's yard, and it was too bad for the neighbor that it fell into the yard. The other person's insurance did not cover it, or didn't have to. This person had to use their own insurance and take care of the removal on their own. And the acquaintance that I know probably wouldn't have let that happen unless he had to.
So I'm just going to interject at this point. We can't just call Attorney Maynard to ask that question. It would be up to the homeowners to decide whose responsibility it is. If they are insured, they would consult with their insurance policy, their insurance provider, and that's how it's settled. You can certainly send them a letter that says, we recommend that you consult with your insurance provider and settle this matter. But this is not a matter to be referred to our
Okay.
town's attorney.
So if you could send the homeowner a letter, Bethany, say to contact your insurance company.
If a tree falls on your property, it doesn't hit your house.
It's considered an act of God.
It's like act of God, you're responsible. If it hits your house, then they come up and take care of it. If it falls into your neighbor's yard, just in the yard, unless they have a waiver or something, I don't know, to cover it, but they had that on TV a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Anything else under project monitoring?
Now, the only thing is, that I can think of right off the top of my head is, how far along is Howland Terrace? Is he anywhere near certificate of compliance or?
Allegron Peas.
Oh,
Yeah, on Pease
yeah.
Road there.
Got some cleanup and stuff to do.
Yeah, there's,
I'm assuming he's gonna try and get that done before the snow flies.
yeah, there's still no door on that
No.
shed or whatever, so I don't know.
Mm. Next item on the agenda was review and comments for the planning board from the Conservation Commission.
Regarding anything?
The only one I can, top of my head, would say would be 244 Shaker Road. We can
Yes.
send him a copy of the notice of intent for that we approved it.
And 305 Maple?
Pardon me?
305 Maple?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
305 Maple?
305, maybe.
No,
That's
no,
the medical
Oh.
building.
Medical center,
With the-
and,
Number 3
With
on
the
under new
retention
business.
pond.
Fine, send them that too, yep.
Okay.
And I will be drafting an email, letter type thing or whatever that I will forward to them, because I did see that Alice Woodmer also went to the planning board. And there was quite a bit of comments at the planning board from the planning board, and where Vice Chair George Kingston suggested reviewing to a consultant engineer who reviewed the stormwater management report prior or for the subdivision. Discussion ensued, concluding with the decision to inquire from the DPW if they would like to monitor the issue or if a third party should be sought, with agreement that this action should be taken as soon as possible. So I will draft something to them on that with what we talked about tonight, in what I believe the circumstances of it need to be, but it is something that, and like I said, the DPW/planning board needs to be monitoring it for the areas that are outside of our jurisdiction. Next item is a joint meeting between Planning Board and Conservation Commission.
That's a typo.
What should it say?
It's a typo?
I felt a cold breeze just fly by me.
No, it's a joint meeting between the planning board and the town council subcommittee.
Oh, it's a-
Subcommittee meeting regarding mixed use. So it should have gone on another agenda, it didn't.
You don't wanna meet with us?
Cross it out, right?
Yeah.
Dogs and cats getting together.
Policies and procedures of the commission. The first one that I had is going back to the 2 meetings a month schedule. We need to schedule a meeting for October 9th and the 23rd or whatever. Get back to the 2nd and 4th, because I do not believe it is prudent for us to be meeting once a month for the rest of the year. And I know most likely we will be missing a meeting in November and October, but with all the things that we have on our agenda for tonight, have there been any new filings submitted in the last week or so?
No.
No new RDAs or NOIs? Okay.
So in regard to these dates that you'd like to change, so you would be deleting the already scheduled meetings. So those would go away for the 3 months, October, November, December.
December's the same. It's just October, November.
October, November, okay. So only one meeting in December because it's Christmas, okay. So you know that we set, in fact, Bethany is about to embark on setting the schedule for 2020. We start working on it in October. Okay, so it's not something that we just put together haphazardly. We have the 3 boards that we manage. We have to manage our paperwork, our intake of materials, making sure that we submit in a timely fashion to the newspaper. You've heard this before, but there's a lot involved with setting these schedules for the 3 boards. Okay? So, in researching the availability for space for October and November, because you're not going to be meeting on the scheduled dates, and you have change for additional dates, we don't have the space here at the school committee room, the school committee conference room. So Council on Aging is available as well as the library.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, we also have to consider our staffing and LCAT's availability. So LCAT not only films your meetings, but they have a host of other meetings.
We
In fact, I
understand.
just came from a meeting where LCAT was filming, and Don's here, Jamie's there. So I had a conversation with Mr. Mackey to see how and if his schedule might accommodate, because he's not just wheeling a cart, from one room to another, he's
We
getting into a
understand.
vehicle. So I guess I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Mackey, if he's had time enough to digest this request.
Oh, I haven't digested anything since I had that conversation with you. But, we do the best we can to cover any meetings we can. We rarely miss one. The more heads up, the more regular the schedule, obviously, the better it is. Doubling up, sometimes it'll be a Monday holiday. We've tripled up on a Tuesday night with school committee, council, and planning, all at the same time. So my only request is that, as far as location, that now we're looking at 3 meetings. October, 2 meetings in October, 1 or 2 meetings in November.
Because the night is pre-Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah,
The
that's,
27th is
Mhm.
Thanksgiving Eve.
whatever night it is. Typically, in my 11 years, a meeting that's been scheduled on the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving has never happened.
I think we did one once, but we
Well,
were in and out in
ones that
10,
I've
15
covered.
minutes,
I'm talking
but
about ones
other than
that I've
that, we cancel them.
Do we need to be filmed? Is it mandatory that?
No, it's good for the public, though.
Yeah, if we can't make a meeting, we can't make a meeting. It's not up to the board to sort of hinge everything around us. We're supposed to be where we're supposed to be. In terms of jumping around, well, this week it's gonna be a COA, next week it's gonna be at the library, then it's gonna be back here. We'll go. Obviously, this has been great because you're right next door.
Right.
And that was one of the goals, I think, when the school department
Mhm.
made this room available once the hearing room at Town Hall went away,
Yep.
was that it was pretty much, this was a meeting room that could accommodate most of the boards. It was located with me since I started taping more meetings. It sort of made sense.
Yep. And obviously, if we don't need to have a meeting, we will not have one. And, I could very easily see us canceling 1 or
Right.
2 of these meetings. But it is important for us to stay on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays. And unfortunately, and I don't think I was the only one, I don't believe any of us saw it when the schedule came out for October and November and December, because I know even Tom called me last week about coming to the meeting on Wednesday. So whatever,
But the
that being
meeting-
said,
the
I guess all I will
schedule
say
was
for
set
the
to
schedule for
January,
next year,
October, last year.
yeah, it came out in like April or something, or whatever,
No,
but,
it came out
Okay.
because, let me just finish. The reason they come out is because we have to plan our submittals for December, for the January meetings. So they're always out before the end
Okay.
of the year.
all right,
Okay?
well, regardless, nobody caught that. And so I guess all I will say for 2020 is 2nd and 4th Wednesdays.
So that being
That's it.
said, second and fourth Wednesdays, I too have had a discussion with our town manager, our interim town manager. And what we have is a situation where we are not going to be able to staff your meetings. And this is the dialogue that we're going to have this evening. I understand that the clerk will take the minutes. So when submittals come in, do you want to come in and collect them and distribute them? We have to set up a policy and a procedure, because 1 meeting a month works for us. People understand submittal deadlines. People have adhered to the submittal deadlines. We've had no pushback from anybody when we've met and they brought in when they brought in their case deliverables according to the submittal deadlines. People like that. That is professionalism in planning. So, your 21-day submittal under MACC, under the MACC guidelines, you most certainly can have an applicant submit a letter stating they understand the Conservation Commission is not meeting within the 21-day required.
Correct, the waiver, yes, I'm very familiar with it, yep.
Yep.
They've
So
been signed in the past.
there's nothing that says you must meet within 21 days of submittal. The applicant can agree. You don't have, I know
The
you
applicant
believe-
can also disagree.
Yeah, but most of the time, they're fine with it. And again, you've got a submittal deadline, it's out there for the calendar year.
Okay.
People know, and I know we're gonna go
All right.
around and,
Can I interrupt you guys for a minute?
Time.
Don,
I was
thank you
just gonna say,
for helping
time.
us out.
Thanks, Don.
I appreciate everything you do. I think you do a great job.
We all do.
All right.
We're very
Yeah.
grateful.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you accommodating so many meetings at so many different locations. You know, me personally as a board member, I'm sure we'll do whatever we can to accommodate LCAT.
So,
Okay.
I'm, being new on the board, I didn't understand when you said change the meetings. So there was a calendar put out last year?
Yes.
And we're asking that those
It-
dates be changed, or
it-
I'm not up to this.
There was a calendar set that had changes from our regularly scheduled second and fourth Wednesday meetings. It was also changed for a month or two during the year because it's been the wishes of the director to have one meeting per month.
Oh, okay.
However, there is regulations that stipulate that the Conservation Commission is required to take action on a number of different filings within 21 days. The applicant can agree to not have the meeting, but technically they should be signing a waiver saying that they've agreed to waive their right to have a meeting within 21 days of their proper file being submitted and accepted.
So has there been a pattern in the past where if the applicant did not agree, we could have called like an extra meeting? Like if we had it once a month? Have there
Yes.
been continually so much,
Yes.
there's been so much work that we really needed
And the
meetings
reason-
a month?
And the reason the commission, and we talked about this at countless meetings, I can't believe we
missed all
spent so
that.
much time on it, but that's
Sorry.
okay, you weren't here.
No.
The 21-day rule is a reason why. Another reason that the Conservation Commission, in our discussions, wanted to have 2 scheduled meetings a month was so we don't have to have a pop-up meeting in case somebody planned on being somewhere else, it's not in your schedule, and then, okay, with a week's notice, boom, we gotta have another meeting. The other reason is to make the meeting shorter. If we're having one meeting a month, some of the meetings are gonna be 3 hours long. We were extremely busy this springtime. I believe we had 16 or 17 filings in a 3.5-month period. If we're operating on a one meeting a month schedule for that, we're having all 3-hour meetings.
So you're saying the preference is to schedule 2 a month, and then if there is not enough work, or if it
Cancel.
can wait,
We'll cancel
to
it.
cancel?
I believe
Okay.
last year we had 19 meetings.
And do you inform us
18 or
by
19.
email of that? Because
Mhm.
my life is now, I've started working,
Yep.
and I can't just keep changing my schedule.
Well,
Correct.
and this is another thing that, with one of the other members that left, or two, it's, with the exception of Tony and I, everybody on the board works a full-time job. And if you know you have these committed nights during the month, you can work your private life around that. But if it's all of a sudden, well, I'm sorry, well, I can't make it, and then we end up, we have to have the meeting, but then we don't have a quorum, where are we?
Okay. All right, thank you for the background.
And so therefore, moving forward, 2020, we will have 2 scheduled meetings a month. I understand there's an issue with getting files there. If the staff needs to drop the package of stuff off here before the meeting and then pick it up the next day, I mean, we'll just have to work our way around that.
Connie, are you saying both of you can't meet for 2 meetings a month, just one?
I have obligations that I have to
How
address
about
for my
Bethany?
primary
Bethany,
boards.
are you
And
able to meet?
Bethany also, now, let me also mention to you, Bethany receives comp time. She gets 1.5 hours of comp time for every hour that she works over 37.5 hours. And she has to leave the office. So I am without staff. We are a 2-person office, and she also sits in the front office, and we have other staff that answers the window because there are 2 other departments with us. Now, you all, this is logistically.
We're all aware of that.
No, Craig, please. So what we're trying to do is be mindful of our expenditures. So I need Bethany in that office 37.5 hours a week, okay? So when I'm giving her the comp time because we've got an additional meeting, or I'm paying her from my budget because we have an additional meeting, that's an expenditure that is costly to the taxpayer, okay? So what we're going to do for you is we can provide the recorder in the event that LCAT is not present. As you said, you'll have your clerk take the minutes. Where we're having our issues of concern is processing the paperwork. So the letters you're telling Bethany that you're going to draft so that we can type up, perhaps you can type them up, and then we'll put them on our letterhead, and then we can mail them out. But you're going to have to be more responsible for submitting the orders of condition. It's submitted electronically, perhaps it's something the clerk can do. But we're going to have to pull back because we do not have the additional, I know you're saying 3 hours, a 3-hour meeting. We just don't have the staff to spend our time, our work hours during the day on. So you can pick up the slack if you like. I've been trying to get you a conservation agent. I've arranged multiple meetings to educate and inform and present to you just other options for your consideration. Every time that's been done, the chair has removed those items from the agenda. So I cannot help you. I cannot provide or deliver information to you. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. So if you want to practice the way you've been practicing for the past number of years, then you may. But my staffing is limited. So you're going to have to man your board.
I just want to say one thing. I don't want to come across sounding sarcastic, but it wasn't that long ago, and I've been on 5 years, and this is before you came on, when we had Robin and Donna, 2 people. Never had that problem. Granted, Robin never showed up.
Robin never
Okay,
showed up,
right.
did she?
Probably because she knew these people were capable of what they're trained and whatnot to do.
Well, my
Donna
records
showed
indicate
up, Donna
otherwise.
showed up to 2 meetings a month. If we didn't need a second meeting, it was canceled. Now all of a sudden, you have more staff, and you're finding it, you haven't got it in your,
I don't have more staff. I have the same number of staff, Robin
Well,
and Donna. Robin,
that's it? You just
Donna.
have 2? I thought you had 3.
No, we've only had 2. We've always only had 2.
Well,
We're
I'm just
working on
saying, we
the
never
master-
had the problem before.
I think there were issues, because when I came on, you had minutes that hadn't been typed, you had minutes that hadn't been reviewed, you had lots of paperwork that was incomplete or not meeting the standards that the DEP would like to see. So the enforcement orders, some of those items that you discussed were very involved enforcement orders for Tanglewood and Old Farm Road that took countless hours to prepare, had to go before town's attorney so that we wouldn't get sued. And those took a lot of time, a great deal of time, hours of time, that I needed to be doing other things. We had a staff who left abruptly last year, went to lunch, didn't come back. I was left to learn the administrative paperwork for a board where it had been done previously for my other staff members. So again, all of this, I tried to implement a process in place to make it easier and more streamlined for people, and all I've gotten is pushback from you. So I'm accepting the pushback and I'm saying, operate the way you want to, and we will provide the materials. You have a computer, we'll give you the code, do your orders of condition, and then have it your way. Have it your way.
I guess my comment just to that would be that, yes, we were behind prior to your arrival. Robin McDonald became ill, and she was out sick. Donna was left working for the town. We had absolutely no support staff, nothing, no one, for 3 months. Remember? We had absolutely nobody. And then we had a couple of different temps. So for a period of at least 6 months, we virtually had no support staff. So yes, things fell behind, absolutely. You know, and I guess we're busier now, and it's different, because prior to that, things were fine. Once in a while, we might have slipped a little bit on getting our minutes posted or something like that, but it wasn't an issue. And back in the old days, the way it worked, and maybe that is a good way to minimize some of the comp time, Donna came to the Conservation Commissions. She did not go to the Planning Board meetings, and she did not go to the Zoning Board of Appeal meetings. So, but for whatever that's worth, but we will just learn to adjust with less support from the staff.
Could I ask another question? I'm sorry, my ignorance of all the background. But are you saying that if we have 2 meetings a month, you cannot provide staff? But if we have 1 meeting a month, you could? I'm not sure I understand your proposal.
1 meeting a month is manageable.
So could you provide staff for 1 of our 2 meetings?
She just said that's what she's gonna do.
One meeting
Okay.
would be managed, but the way things have been operating, we are going to pull back.
Sorry.
We've already had an offer that the clerk will take the minutes. It's 1.5 hours to do minutes in the office for every hour of a meeting. And I know you have a hard time with that, but
I don't.
you'll see. So 1.5, so while Bethany is in the office trying to answer the window, answer the phones, and prepare for other meetings, she's doing things. So we are trying to be mindful of our expenditures. So before I came in, I came in after 6:30. You had already done your new business, right? You spent time, I mean, you went through 5 items in a half hour, 5 items. And then project monitoring, you spent more time discussing. You spent a great deal. That's where the bulk of your work is, having these dialogues over the projects that you're monitoring. What you all should be doing is going out into the field, monitoring the projects and coming back with your reports. That's what you should be doing.
We are doing that.
But you're taking a lot of time. You're going out in the field, you're gathering your notes, you're having your dialogue out in the field, and you should be coming back and having those discussions. You shouldn't be having these discussions about projects unless you're in a public hearing or public meeting.
Who's doing
I
it?
was just gonna say, we do not deliberate out in the field.
Right.
Okay,
That's why
Okay.
that's why these project monitorings are taking so much time here, because
Okay.
this is the deliberation.
okay,
And
okay.
I just went through the open meeting law webinar, and it says that we're not supposed to deliberate out in the field.
Correct.
That is absolutely correct. We
That's
do
correct.
That
not.
was one thing I learned, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that somebody slips and other people on board go, no deliberating.
So you spend a lot of time doing your reports on your project monitoring, and then your other business. Frankly, a lot of this other business is supposed to come under administrative details, and you're stepping into the administrative operations of the office, where we're trying to streamline the performance and move things forward quickly. You've got us going back and forth and adjusting the submittals. That's not under your purview. Your purview is to
Back and
monitor
forth
the
doing what?
wetlands. The administrative duties of the office. Your responsibility is to monitor the wetlands and to provide the information so that a proper notice of, a proper order of conditions can be drafted and recorded. So when you step into my office operations, I find that objectionable. So you can operate as you wish on your own time. I've had this conversation with our interim director. She's happy to let you have your meetings. She's asked me if it's okay. You go ahead and have your 2 meetings. But we're not going to staff the meetings for you.
But you'll staff one.
No, we're not going to staff your meetings for you because they, at this point, where we've had the offer where someone is going to take the minutes, we have no reason to be here. We have no reason. And we have other things, we're working on the master plan, we're working on a municipal vulnerability program, we've got other things that we are working on that require our time. So, that's where we are.
So, all right, just so I'm clear, you're gonna start, neither of you are gonna come to any of our meetings.
That is correct. You've already said the clerk will take the minutes.
Who said that?
You sent me an email.
I did, I put it in there, that if you don't
You
wanna come.
just said you
yeah.
were gonna cover 1 meeting a month,
I
and the
s-
second
I
meeting...
said we could, but at this
Oh,
point.
now you don't want to.
At this, do not twist my words. At this point, since we have no reason to be here, because what we're doing is taking minutes and making sure you're following some of the procedure.
Do we have any reason to be here? Volunteers?
Oh,
Do you have any reason to be at the planning board meetings?
yes, I do.
Why would that differ than here?
I'm the Planning and Community Development Director. and
Forget I even asked that question.
They
Fine.
respect my knowledge
All right, let's
base.
move forward.
Yep.
So-
I think it should, at the very least, be here for 1 meeting. If you
Well,
can afford
let's-
that time, that would be,
We'll take that under advisement.
I just wanna confirm if you'd like to meet at the library or the Council on Aging, because I need to book those spaces.
for
Council on Aging.
the other meetings.
One easier for you than the other place?
I don't have a schedule in front of
Don?
me.
What place do you like?
Well, when you say the library, which room are you talking about?
The conference room,
Do I have a preference?
so
Not that conference.
I was just gonna say, we need
It's
the
like a
larger
walk-in
room at the
closet.
library if we're going to the library.
I can see if they have the larger room open. The other thing
That
is
room's
they
never
are
available.
only open until 8.
Why don't we go to the-
Because they close at 8.
If the
Where is
COA
the
is
council?
available, the COA is it's a better
Senior center.
Yeah.
venue for a meeting.
Yes.
Senior Center.
COA then.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do that, and we'll help you draft your agenda.
Which meeting
your
is
schedule
that?
For next year. We'll give you the template to help you, and we'll give you the template for writing the ads to the newspaper.
So
So
will
let's
you
make-
entertain?
So you're not
having
gonna
us
put
one
the ads in the
meeting a month?
paper either?
We're gonna give you the template so that you can become familiar with it, okay? So let's set a time when someone's gonna come in and meet with me. Perhaps Jeff, you're gonna be the clerk, you can attend to some of these details?
I'm gonna think this over.
Okay.
I would think it needs to be on the agenda for our next meeting.
I
We
think
are
we-
not available, I'm not available during the daytime, and if you're completely eliminating the staff support from us, which it sounds like, there is a number of items that need to be addressed.
I've been offered a job, I think I'm taking it.
You know, when, like for instance, if a filing comes in and this is the way it's gonna be, it needs to be distributed to the commissioners pretty much immediately.
Well, generally, we wait till they come in and then we electronically distribute them. So that's something that.
Yeah,
and
so
that-
those are the things that we're gonna
details-
have to change, and so
Yeah,
we'll
those are the
discuss it at a future
details.
date.
Wait, those are the details we have to work out. So one thing I want you to be thinking of is bringing on a conservation agent. You've got money in your, and also establishing a fee schedule that's realistic for your submittals.
Mhm.
Because if you have that fee schedule, those funds can be used to hire somebody to serve your needs. You need a conservation agent.
We're very much aware of that, and we've discussed it at the meeting. Now, when you say a conservation agent, are you referring to an employee of the town?
Yes,
So then that needs to be put into the budget, and that position needs to be created, so that can't be done until the next year's budget. Is
I am
that
pre-
correct?
I am preparing for capital planning. Yes, I am preparing that.
Are you saying we can hire this without this person, without the position being created, and having it put into next year's budget and approved?
I have to propose it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We have to include it in the next year's budget, correct? Or,
Yes, Craig, yes.
Or are you saying you can propose,
So-
no,
No.
help me understand, are you saying you can propose that to somebody next week, and a month from now, we can
No,
hire a
no,
person?
No, I'm not.
Or-
That's what I'm asking.
Or can we say, Bethany, X number extra hours would come out of our budget to pay her to come?
We
How's
will
that?
take that under advisement.
I think that would be the easiest way, right?
It does not, we will take that under advisement. We will have that discussion, she and I will have that discussion. But I think you need another staff member. I think I need Bethany for many of our planning initiatives. We've got some major projects. So we would like to bring, so what I want you to think about is that fee schedule. Because again, the fee schedule is obsolete, the one that is embodied within the general bylaw. So we need to repeal that fee schedule, make it more realistic. You might consider at this point, sending plans out for review for third party.
What the fee schedule, we're just talking about for the consultant, correct?
The
peer
fee
review.
schedule is for peer review.
Exactly. And I thought we addressed that
I thought we have
at the
to.
last meeting, saying let's just adopt the same law that Agawam used.
Chapter 44,
Chapter
section
44.
53.
You have to,
You're saying we have to have a published
you
fee
have
schedule?
to,
In a-
because the fee schedule is part of the general bylaw, you have to go before town council to repeal. We started this a year ago,
I know.
October 18th. You have to go before town council and repeal, ask to repeal.
I thought you were gonna do that.
Craig was doing that. I was doing that, but then Craig stepped in.
Absolutely.
So
I'm not
anyway.
even gonna get in that discussion.
No, I
But
was.
I
have-
strongly disagree with that. I went
I
to,
provided the minutes of the subcommittee meeting to all of you for review, and I was supposed to come back with you, but we never got together to go back. They
All right,
wanted.
why don't we
so-
just start fresh again? Why don't we just get together and work on it, go in front of the town council and straighten out the fees?
Well, I gave you a memo, it probably went to you, I don't know now, I've sent it to you so many times, but if you, we can resend that memo to you. It will be updated,
Okay.
it will have to be updated,
When, that means all the members, because I haven't seen it.
of course,
Okay, thank you.
of course. You're a member, you get
Well,
everything now.
I'm just asking,
Yeah.
to be sure.
Did you get your orange hat?
So before you adjourn, you want to be thinking about the fee schedule, you want to be thinking about third-party consultant, because if you have a third-party consultant that collects all this information and distributes it to whomever, that's done. And we don't have to pay any benefits, we don't have to pay any salary, we don't have to pay anything that would cost the taxpayer more.
Is third-party consultant what you were saying, a conservation agent?
No, that's separate.
That's different.
Conservation agent would be staff.
Okay, well, what's a third-party consultant mean then?
Third-party consultant under Massachusetts general law is also known as peer review. It's, I can't remember, 53G. We just always refer to it as 53G.
It's an outside engineering firm or wetlands consultant that we hire to review the filing of the applicant.
especially if it's an in-depth filing, a simple filing or something like that, it wouldn't be required. If it was a large subdivision or if we were doing
So we
something.
call them in as needed?
Right, and then that is something that the applicant needs to pay for. However, the way the current town bylaw is set up, the fee schedule is not enough for that, to cover reasonable expenses, because it's 30 years old. And so that needs to be changed, and that's one of the reasons we don't do a lot of peer reviews right now.
So is there ever a report of what's in our budget? I mean, I'm here with treasurer's report.
That's something, that we have some preliminary figures, but that was something that I think I
We've been
just.
working- Sarah
but-
Menard and I have been working on that for months, but the way they changed the accounting system, so that's part of it. So just tracking the numbers and collating the information, and Sarah has had a lot of other priority concerns that she's been dealing with, which included the annual budget, the operating budget for the town. And now we have the auditors in, and a couple of weeks ago it was Munis she was dealing with, so
So it
then
sounds
she has
like
to
a lot
revisit.
of, a lot of the confusion is a joint problem between the town, and of course, we're a little commission. So it's, to me, you know, when you say we need a third-party consultant, well, we have to think about where's the money coming from for that.
It comes
And
from the
if we-
developer.
Oh, we charge the person who's doing the survey.
They actually pay the
Right.
person.
Okay.
They hire them directly.
So, but if we wanted a staff person to help us, then we would have to know what our budget is, right?
Yes.
And we can't know that right now because the town is going
We've got
through-
3 different accounts. 3 different accounts. There's a conservation fund, there's a wetlands fund, and there could be a 53G, a consulting.
When can we know what that is?
I'm waiting for Sarah. I have
So-
been waiting for Sarah.
So it's
We've
not
sent-
really our fault that we can't accommodate.
It's something that frankly, we've been trying to get for over a year.
That's what I'm trying to.
Because when it came up before and we were actually said, we have these 3 accounts and they do exist, I questioned the fact that they existed
Yeah,
because
we
I
can't
never
touch
even
them.
saw them before. And I'm gonna say for the first 6 months, no, you're not getting them because it's budget season.
So
And
we
now
need
we're
to
about
know. It's a
another
need
4
to
months
know for
along
us.
and
It's a
we
need to
still
know for
don't
me
have
also,
it.
I would like to state.
So when you pull back for your own reasons, we don't have any other option. I mean, we're gonna miss Bethany, and I don't know if you can handle what she does
Yeah.
as clerk. Can you handle all that?
Well, he's doing a good job.
I mean, I don't know you, so
You might have to
Yeah,
divvy
well-
up the duties.
if you can handle it, we're okay for now.
And if I can't, then what?
Then we shut down.
We shut
So-
down and go home.
So Connie, so reconsider that we can have
I don't wanna
Bethany
give the money.
once a month, okay? Because we need her.
I don't see any other solution until
Yeah.
the budget gets
And
resolved.
the second meeting of the month,
Right.
maybe we can swing it.
That's not 100% accurate.
Oh, okay.
I think that it could very well depend on your workload. There may be months, we're coming into the winter season, guys and ladies.
So it slows down.
It slows down. You're coming into October, November, December,
Oh.
which was why the 1 month, 1 meeting a month. And please be mindful, one of those dates is Yom Kippur. That is the highest Jewish holiday, and the state does frown upon assembling on religious holidays. Planning board had to move during one of the Muslim holidays in the springtime, so we look at all of when we schedule, we are mindful and we are respectful of other beliefs, so.
Is town hall closed that day?
No, but it's not closed on other holidays
I'm
either.
an atheist, I mean.
So,
Well,
it's not closed on all holidays.
And I have different holidays too, but this is just me who would be absent, so.
So anyway, so
I
that's
celebrate
why,
all
when we were
holidays.
looking at the schedule, we were looking at what was coming into play and knowing full well that people don't generally they're generally traveling or cooking the night before Thanksgiving. So when
Would not be
Catherine
here.
and I set the schedule last December, we put them in the middle of the month so that you capture, once a month. It wouldn't be at the beginning, it would be right in the middle. We placed a lot of forethought in these schedules. It's
So
not-
if, and I don't mean to be, I'll just be a devil's advocate, but I don't mean to aggravate. But if we decided to have a monthly schedule for now, until we find out what our budget is, can we do that temporarily?
But your budget, okay,
No.
so, no, I can't move money from your wetlands or conservation account to pay my staff.
No, but if we were to hire somebody, we can't do that.
you can't do that.
We can't do, the
You
position
cannot-
needs to be created and put in
Yes,
next
we
year's
do not
budget
have a budget.
before we can hire anybody.
Okay.
Yes,
So this
and
is
right now, we're
stalemate.
looking at I'm looking at
Stalemate.
capital planning right now also, because if I can plan for a conservation agent through my capital planning, that's another avenue that I can explore. I'm not saying I'm not going to get a no, but I'm looking at all options that are available to fund this position. And I need help, I need cooperation instead of pushback.
So what do you need again from us?
Cooperation.
But in what, I mean, in what sense?
And
What do you
what's-
need?
We need to go to the town council subcommittee and address the repealing of the fee schedule that is currently embodied in.
Okay, that's the
the-
first priority?
that's-
Is that a priority?
that. Yep.
And then,
So-
what else? Is there anything else?
I need to work on the budget and we also have to have a meeting of the minds with our finance director in regard to what funds are available currently. Because if you have, let's say you have $58,000 in the conservation fund. You can use that for a salary. You're not gonna spend $58,000,
Just a
but
few
it's
hours
it's a
at
start.
each meeting, an hour
You
and a
know,
half,
it's a
2 hours.
start, you know, say, because then we can go to town council and say, I've got this money. I would like to expend these monies to hire somebody to serve the needs of the Conservation Commission.
Okay. So then the town would hire the person and use our funds if they approve it?
Yes.
Is that it? Okay.
Yes.
Boy, I'm dumb about
You
government
guys ever see the
stuff,
movie,
sorry.
the show, The Office?
Yes.
I feel like I'm living in an
Oh,
episode of The
no.
Office right now.
I may be creating
This is like
this,
real
I'm
life.
sorry.
Don, you might have some marketable stuff here, buddy.
You know,
Really?
people don't
Am I
understand.
doing it? I'll stop.
It's all of us. We're all part of it.
I'm just,
No,
I'm
you're
trying
good.
to
It's
get
all
up to
good.
speed on how it
It's
all
all good.
works.
So,
Because, I mean, I would rather do a once-a-month meeting, frankly, but if it gets busy, I can understand we need twice a month, but, you know, well, who am I?
Again, I looked at everything, I know, you know, the season we're coming into, and nobody's gonna be putting a shovel in the ground in the next few months.
right about
So-
now, I'm good with whatever the schedule is.
So anyway,
I'd
that's
just
what
like
we
to move
have.
forward.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.